guys, welcome back to my channel. Mbabazikole Madden is my name. I'm a lifestyle blogger, content creator, international student, and in this series that we actually started in the previous video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to apply to universities abroad, what schools, what countries, the scholarships, and all that in between, everything I did, so that you guys can use it for your own advantage. So in the previous video I actually spoke about like the countries, because it's like the basic. If you want to travel, if you want to be an international student, it means you want to travel out of your home country to another country for school. Now of course this is gonna come because of either of three or two things. One, either you really just want to travel, like you're a person that always wanted to travel and now you want to use school as that portal through which you travel, or you just really think studying and going to a different place far away from home is going to give you a different perspective of life, or it's going to deliberate you, just give you a better experience of yourself, or both. So this is actually the video for you. So first things first, I actually have my notes again. I usually just put my notes together so that I actually don't forget anything. So most of the people, when they apply for school abroad, like international students, they I told you the countries. I did give you the stats in the previous video. I'm gonna link it down below. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it, so you'll have an insight of what we're going to be speaking about. But most of the people, when we're going to apply for these schools, apply to the top 4 countries, and that was USA, Canada, Australia, and the UK. So those are actually the 4 regions that everybody's fixated on. And I did actually give you the pros and the cons in the previous video of why you should, and why you could go with those, or why you could actually opt for other countries. But then in this video I'm going to be speaking about other countries that I feel are really good if you want to apply to study abroad. So I'll start off with on the African continent. If you feel you have never been to Africa, or you've been there but you really loved it, or you want to study there, or you're already in Africa but you want to go and study in another African country, the best country I think is Botswana. And that's actually my own opinion, because I think their education system is way up there. It's really good. They have really good policies. The accommodation is quite affordable. The cost of living, standard of living, the cost of living is actually really nice, and it's not really expensive. So Botswana is one of them. Kenya is another one. Kenya is really good. South Africa, and then Egypt. Those are the best picks for most people that are actually doing international student studies in Africa. Those are actually the best, and I'd actually recommend them in no particular order, except for Botswana. I feel Botswana is really top of the list for me. So yeah, there is that. In Asia, Korea, and by Korea I'm saying about South Korea. Don't get yourself mixed up with the other place. I've actually not had anyone go there for school, but yeah, South Korea, I've actually seen and heard many people go to South Korea for school. So South Korea is definitely there. South Korea, China, Taiwan, Japan, Hong Kong, and Malaysia. The only thing I think with the Asian countries is they do have a specificity, the kind of people that usually apply to go study in the Asian countries, the people that have done more of the engineering courses, if that makes sense, the math, the physics, that's the kind of people that usually go there, because they have that thing figured out, their industry in that kind of field is really figured out. So those are mainly the people that go there. So that's just a tip. And then for Europe, these are actually my best picks. Ireland, yes, Ireland had very affordable international student opportunities. So there is Ireland, and then Italy as well, and then there is France, and then there is Spain and the Netherlands. Now, just to speak, one of the reasons as to why I was really skeptical to go to some of these countries was because of the language barrier. Most of these countries have their national language, and they do speak their national language they do Dutch, or they do like Chinese, or they do like Italian or something like that. And I was not ready yet mentally to like start studying another language. I felt like I already had too much pressure with school and everything. Don't get me wrong, I love languages. I've actually been trying to get back into my German. I have my Duolingo app on. I do my lessons every morning after my chores and stuff like that. But to be able to do a language very well to the extent of like having classes and like interacting with people on a daily basis is something that was scaring me a lot. So I pulled back from most of these options, and it was actually very sad because they were the most affordable options I had at the time. But then after realizing later on that actually they are in these same countries, they're actually what's it called programs in different universities that are taught in English. So you actually learn and study in English, and then you can actually learn the language as you progress, at your pace, not at like a really high pace. So there is that. Actually, don't be worried about the language. Most of these countries, especially for Italy and France, at least for those I confirmed, you can get courses and they're called programs. You can get programs that are actually taught in English, and then you learn the language in your due time, in something like that. So I applied to the US only for the reasons I just gave. The language was really scaring me, so I applied to the US only. And what is the process for applying to the US? First off, if you want to apply as an international student, you have to be done with high school. I think that's like common knowledge. So when you're done with high school, you're going to have to get your high school results. When you get those high school results, some universities are going to need you to translate those results into the US grading, and some are not actually going to need you to do that. So how are you going to get the universities that do what? Because a university may require you to translate those results, but then it's giving you a higher scholarship than a university that's not requiring you to do that. And that's not going to be always the case, but I'm just like giving an example. So when you need to translate your results, I'm actually going to make another video after this. I'll record it so I upload it as well, of how to prepare your results for your transcripts. They're called transcripts, yeah, for translation. So how do you get the universities and how to do? When I sat and finally locked in my mind that I'm going to do the States, because I've actually been here before. It was actually it was not like I lived here, I just visited sometime. And I made friends and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, the States is good to do. It's English. There's some opportunities there. It's good for my career, content creation, and my skincare line and stuff like that. So let's do the States. So I then sat down and then started researching. I literally had like a big book where I would write back home. I wish I carried it to show you guys, but I didn't carry it. So I would write down each of the states. I would search about each state, like let's say New York, let's say Chicago, let's say Massachusetts, let's say Atlanta, stuff like that. I would go down and write each state and just search. I would be like the black population there, the standard of living and stuff like that, because the US is a wild place, you understand. So I had to get a place that was comfortable and affordable, and had kind of a good black population, and not so much of racist kind of thing going on and stuff like that. So after narrowing it down to 3 states, I then started to look at the schools. I'm gonna put a link in the description box where you can actually go through all the schools. So now I went through all the schools in these states only. So I'm narrowing it down, you understand, to know what schools am I going to apply to. So now I have only schools in the states that I want to go to, right? So now when I have the schools that I want to in the states only that I want to go to, I still can't apply to all the schools because all the schools have different requirements. Just like I was saying, one of the requirements is actually the results, the transcripts. Another requirement is the application that you make. Another requirement, some of them want a recommendation, and then that's it. Now most of that stuff is in the application, right? we shall get to that in another video. So we're still speaking about how to choose, like, you know, the school that you want to go to. So what was I saying? Cool, sure. So when you narrow down to the states that you actually want to do, and then, like, you know, the schools in that state, then you want to look for the schools that have free applications. And the reason is, during this application process, like, you want to apply to as many schools as possible, and you can't limit yourself really. So, and the application process and the application fee for some of these schools is actually as high as, like, you know, $75. And if you're gonna, you know, do $75 to 10 schools, it's gonna ruffle you up a bit. So look for the schools that actually offer free applications, right? Look for those. Now you've sieved again, and you have now a much smaller group. Now, among these schools that offer free applications, I'm gonna need you to look into in that same group, right, of schools, for schools that offer financial aid to international students. Now again, you have a much smaller group. See, it keeps, like, you know, getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and then you're getting a group of schools you're gonna apply to. First off, they're in the state you want. Second, they offer financial support to international students. Third, they are free. The application process is free. So you're narrowing it down. Now, another thing is, depending on whether you want to do tests or not. I didn't want to do the tests, the SATs. I didn't really want to do that. So I looked for schools still in this bunch that did not do SATs, and then I narrowed it down. Most of the schools actually don't need you to do that anymore. I don't know why people still do it. I think because they feel like it will give them a higher chance of being accepted. I think that's also a thing. You should look into that if you're really the academics person. So yeah, you look for schools that don't do tests, so you're narrowing it down again. And finally, the thing was, yeah, that's it, schools that don't do tests. Now you have, like, a very, like, small manageable bunch that you're gonna apply to. Now when you have that bunch, I'm gonna need you to go and download the Common app. It's called the Common app. Yeah, Common app, the way it's spelled, that's the way it is. It's a blue app. I don't know what the icon is, but it's called the Common app. Now when you download this app, you're gonna create an account, you're gonna log in, and then you're gonna choose these schools that were remaining on your list, because, you know, you are ticking, and, like, you know, you remained with a small group. So you're gonna choose all these schools, and then you're gonna make one application that is gonna go to all these schools, personalized for them through this app. So you're gonna go download the app, make the account just like I said, then choose the schools, fill in the prompts, your school, where you've been, your name, your country, how old you are. Please don't actually forget to put your hobbies. Like, put all that. You swim, you sing, you run, like anything you actually just do, even if it's just volunteering, even if it's just, like, small and you think it doesn't matter, really put it, because it's actually gonna help scale you, because I told you it's many people applying. So anything that can make you better than the next person, put it there. Like anything you've ever done, any skill, any small thing, you know, just put it in there. And then when you're done, hit apply. It's gonna send these applications to these schools you have. And then one thing that's gonna be needed there is recommendations, right? So I'm sure when you're in high school you had, like, teachers that you actually liked, that liked you too, something like that. I was lucky and fortunate enough to have many teachers, my class teacher, and, like, you know, my patron for the writers club and all that stuff. So get those teachers' emails, because then they're going to request you for recommendations. You're just going to put the teacher's email in that app, still the Common app, and the Common app is going to email the teacher. Teacher is going to write a recommendation that's going to be sent to the school. You're going to need, like, 3 teachers maximum. That's it. And yeah, 3 teachers maximum, and that's it. And the reason for this is because some documents cannot be sent by you. They're actually going to be sent by your teacher that has a verified school email. You understand? So there is that. So yeah, there is that. So you're gonna have to get those as well. Hold on, do I have a child? No, I actually thought I thought I had a meeting today. No, I don't have a meeting. So a teacher's gonna actually send in your recommendations as well, and then in, like, a day, it's actually a day. You're gonna receive responses from these schools. They're gonna give you an email, a username, and you create a password. You're gonna create an account to run and see all the requirements needed by each of these different schools. So let's say now you have like 7 schools, right? You have like 7 schools or 10 schools, something like that, and each of them, you have an account for each of them. I want you to get a book and paper and just write, or in your notebooks or some notes on your phone or laptop or something like that. So you're gonna be writing and keeping track of every communication that they actually send you. Now, first off, the schools are gonna get back to you. They're gonna be like, thank you for applying, this is this and this and this, we are requesting for this. Now you have to go and see. Some schools require you to do an English test. Now, depending on the country where you come from, you actually have to do an English test. And I was actually perturbed by this because I'm from Uganda, I'm Ugandan, and we speak pretty good English. No, not to brag or anything, but everybody in Uganda knows English. Literally everyone, for some reason, colonization. For some reason, you understand. So when I was requested to do an English test, I was confused. I was like, I can spell, I can write, I can, what's up? But then it's a requirement, it's standard procedure. So there is 2 tests. No, it's 3 tests you guys can do. There is the TOEFL exam, there is the IELTS exam, and then there is the Duolingo test. Yes, most people don't speak about the Duolingo test because it's more of a newer test that people are used to the IELTS and the TOEFL, which costs a ton of money. Yeah, they do cost a ton of money. I don't know how much they cost, but it is really, really, really expensive. So please speak to your school when they say they need an English test from you, depending on the country you're from. Ask them the tests they accept. If Duolingo is one of the tests, kindly take Duolingo. You can actually just take it at home on your laptop. Literally at home on your laptop. It costs very, very little money. I've actually forgotten how much it costs, but it's very affordable, it's very doable, it's actually good. I'm gonna be showing in another video how to get ready for it and how to do all that. So yeah, now when you're keeping track of all these things, I'd say you're noting down. When they ask you for something, you send it in. You also make sure your teacher sends them something, you understand, so that you know that your thing was received. And then most of them actually have an interview session. If there is a part of that school, application process where they're like, do you want to be interviewed? Accept. Or whether you can book an interview or something, that accept. And the reason for that is they get to interact with you, and then they put a face and a character to the words, you understand. When we sit down and type and write, that gives someone an idea. But when someone speaks and interacts with you, they get to see and admire and appreciate you. So please do that. Make sure you speak to someone, schedule an appointment with Zoom and stuff, speak to them, tell them about yourselves, tell them about your hobbies and stuff like that. Now, another very, very, very important thing during the application process is the essays. The essays, still gonna make another video about it. It's such a long thing, and I feel like my time is almost up. But with the essays, there are actually always essays to write, right? Depending on the kind of university you apply to. Just like I said, the different kind of universities, there are the 4-year colleges and the community colleges, but that's something also very important. Community colleges are way more affordable, but the issue is community colleges don't have accommodation, so you're gonna have to look for accommodation, and that's where the strain comes in. They're much more simpler to get in. They have a way easier process for locals, like the people in the States. But when you're an international student, they do strain you a little bit. For them, they will require an English test from you, and not the Duolingo one. They will need the expensive one. They will need you to translate your transcripts. They'll need you to get accommodation. They'll ask you for a very hefty bank account, details to see if you can afford. It's a process. I'll be sharing with you guys that. But just like I was saying, the essays, you do have to have essays. There are 5 questions that are usually asked. It's the same questions, you guys, same questions that are asked in the Common App. So you have to pick one question and then answer it. And then depending on how you answer this question, these are the things that actually get you the admission into university. So there is that as well. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys that if you can do that bit, I'm going to be coming with another video explaining the essay, the questions, and how to go around those questions as well. And then slowly by slowly we're going to look into the financial aid, the English tests, accommodation, getting ready for the visa interview and stuff like that. I'm also going to be sharing with you guys the conferences bit. I've actually been traveling for a while, doing conferences all around, and I love them. Model United Nations, Model African Union. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys how you can do that, and also paid internships. I've actually never been on a paid internship abroad, but then I've actually been seeing it and I know it's doable, so I'm going to be sharing with you guys that as well. But for now, that is today's video. I'm going to be logging off and getting ready for another one.